Good evening. So in last class, we began discussing a little bit more about the need to wash and what's needed to wash and check vegetables. Today we're going to be covering the following. We're going to be discussing, first of all, something which we left off. Is there really a need to wash the vegetables? Can I just straight go ahead and check it? In addition, we'll discuss what's called washing, what's needed to wash. Does one need all the things that are mentioned by different hashkachas, like specific soaps or whatever it is? And from there, we're going to move into identifying insects, which is very important. And we're going to mention different important points to look out for and how to identify. As well, we will lead into the common insects that are found with visuals and pictures of how they look like, and address that. And we'll see how much we can cover today. So, starting off and continuing from last week, does one really have to do this, the whole washing process? Can one just check the produce? So the answer is that technically, no, you don't. It's not needed. Halachically, one needs to check to make sure there's no bugs present, and one does not need to specifically wash it. However, washing it is highly suggested and actually could help your situation a lot. First of all, washing it obviously gets rid of the bugs and makes the checking much easier. When there are bugs present, it'll be harder. In addition, as we discussed in one of the classes, there are two categories of obligations when it comes to checking for produce. One was called muhzik b'telaim, which means that there's we could almost definitely assume that there's bugs there, and then for that there's a biblical chiyuv deraisa to check, a biblical obligation to check it. And then there's something called miyut hamatzui, which means it's common enough, but it's not assumed, but it's common enough that we need to be concerned, which we explained was a chiyuv derabanan, a rabbinical obligation to check the produce. Now, if somebody, for example, takes produce that was muhzik, which has a chiyuv deraisa, a biblical obligation to check, and they didn't do a proper job checking it, we're dealing with neglecting a biblical obligation, a chiyuv deraisa, which is a very severe thing. If someone did go ahead and wash it thoroughly and wash it properly, most of the times they will bring down the chance of there being bugs to a much lower chance, which will be, probably going to be dealing with something that's only miyut hamatzui, which the chiyuv of checking goes down to something which is more midrabanan. So by washing it, you're not just helping it's going to be easier to not have as many bugs, but also the obligation of checking, and if you do miss a bug by not checking properly, all that goes down as well, and it becomes less of an obligation and less stringent. And if a produce was only obligated to be checked because it was miyut hamatzui, which was only a chiyuv derabanan, and if you wash it really well, it could be you brought it down now to a point that it doesn't even need checking, and your checking is just to be extra sure. But if you missed a bug, there's no issue whatsoever because you wash it so well that it came now to a category of assumed to be clean. So helping can help as well, in that washing can help as well in that manner, and therefore it's suggested if someone's only going to be doing 2 leaves of romaine lettuce and they don't want to go through the whole washing and they just want to look it up to a strong light, and they feel like they could look at that thoroughly, that's definitely something you can do. But if you're going to be doing something more and you want to avoid finding bugs, or you want to bring the produce down to a different category of obligation when it comes to the checking, washing it thoroughly definitely helps in that manner. The next thing is why are there so many, when you open different guides, it seems like there's so many steps, soaking it for a few minutes and then agitating it and adding soap and all these different conditions. Why can't washing it just be something simple? Rinse it off under the sink or something like that. So I always like to give an example to compare it to a washing machine. In order for clothing to be cleaned properly in a washing machine, because what we're trying to accomplish by washing produce is to make sure it's clean. It's not just a ritual to wash it under a sink, it's to actually get it clean. To get it clean, we want to take examples from something that cleans things. So we'll take a washing machine, for example. First of all, if you want to wash your clothing and want your clothing to come out properly clean, you want to use the type of soap that's meant for that. putting soap or vinegar in your washing machine won't accomplish the job. And the same thing is when it comes to bugs. Using salt or vinegar, although that was used in the past, it's been proven that using either a proper vegetable wash or a dish soap, which is non-toxic and unscented, will do a much better job, because soap is meant to clean things and is meant to remove things, so that will do a better job. The second thing, you want it to be spacious. If you would take a washing machine and compact it with all the clothing so the things can't really move around, the clothing will not come out clean, because in order for it to clean properly, it needs space. The water has to be able to get everywhere and move freely. So the same thing when it comes to washing vegetables. You don't want to compact all the vegetables into a bowl, because then putting water in that bowl, even if you put soap, if the water can't freely move around, if the produce can't freely move around in the water, that will not help and will not be able to wash properly. In addition, you want to have soaking. What does soaking accomplish? Soaking accomplishes that the water with the soap properly gets into every crevice, every part of the leaf, wherever it's supposed to reach, and that may take a few minutes. Quickly adding soap and then wanting to wash it off right away is not going to accomplish. So you need to give a few minutes for the soap and soapy water to be able to settle into all the parts of the leaf, and including under the feet of the bugs, the bugs are clinging onto the leaves with a type of gluey feet, or sometimes it could be even clawed in, and letting the soap soak and get in will help things definitely come off easier. And the fourth most important thing is agitation, which is really the way a washing machine works. Without agitation, things are not going to come off. So after you let it soak and you put soap and there's enough space for everything to move around, you want to agitate. It doesn't have to be crazy agitation. It doesn't mean you have to destroy the leaf, but firm enough that if there was a bug trying to cling on, the movement will make it fall off. And these 4 steps are something which definitely will do a thorough job. They're not needed, they're not a requirement, it's not in any way halachically necessary, but it's highly suggested because it will do a thorough job, and you'll have a clean produce after cleaning your produce like this. Now, the next topic is how to identify bugs. And we are going to have a class with hands-on showing how to actually wash the produce and go through it hands-on with a video. Hopefully live as well, but for now we're going to move on to identifying bugs. And a very important factor is you have to know what you're looking for. Have an idea of what the bugs look like. If you're expecting it to be a black fly that's going to pop out and wave hello, or so it's just going to be very obvious. That's definitely not the case. And it's not going to be a roach running around in the lettuce or an ant. If you're looking for something and then that's what your eye is trying to find, you're going to miss all the things which are really the problem. So obviously those things which are obvious, they'll pop out at you, and there's no need to be trying to find those bigger things which will pop out, or darker bugs. What we're concerned with is the bugs which are much smaller and which have colors which are very camouflage, very, very similar to the produce. These bugs could be translucent, basically almost see-through, or translucent yellowish like the core of a romaine lettuce, let's say, or they can start being light green, and they can come in all forms and colors. And once we can get a certain grasp of what we're looking for and how small they could be and what colors they could look like, we could be a little bit more attentive when we're looking and not overlook it. In addition, I believe it's important to have some idea with pictures, and as well to know what the bugs are called. If you're looking for something that you don't even know what it's called, or have any definition of exactly how it looks like, it's also going to be hard to find something. So what we're going to do today, we're going to show some pictures and give the name of the bug and try to get familiar with this unique shape and colors and bugs, so when you're looking for it, you have much clearer idea of what you're looking for. What I'm going to start is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to start with a concept that that I personally came up with. Is the screen? Can everybody see the screen? So scrub is generally what you want to be looking out for. Because the question people may ask is, how do I identify if it's a bug? It's a bug. Maybe it's a small piece of leaf or vegetable or a piece of dirt, and there can be so many little things. How do we know what's a bug, what's not? So if you take this concept of scrub, try to find the word which has to do with removing scrub. If you do identify a bug, you want to scrub it off. You want to get rid of it. So the first thing is you want to find the shape. Bugs have a defined shape. It's not just a piece of ripped off. Produce will not really always have a defined shape, or most of the time doesn't. Even if it looks very small, a defined shape will be if it. You'll see a very specific. And as we look at the pictures of the bugs, we'll give you more idea of what we mean by defined shape. But that's the first thing you want to look at, the defined shape. Second of all, color. It will have a unique color. Like we mentioned some colors earlier, it's translucent or yellowish translucent or brownish translucent or very light green. The color will be unique. It's not just going to be always. It's not going to look like a piece of dirt, and even like a piece of produce. And if you get used to the color and how it looks like, that as well be another way to easy to identify. And usually after these two, shape and color, you can already recognize the type of bug. If you get familiar with the types of bugs, like some two mentioned here are thrips and aphids. But usually by then already you can get some idea of recognizing the bug. Other things you could pick up are unique characteristics like stripes or patterns of color change. Sometimes the head could be a certain color, and as the body develops further, it gets more brownish or more greenish. And then there is body parts. You can look at and see sometimes there will be two little black dots, which will be the eyeballs or appendages, the legs, wings, and so on and so forth. So by keeping this idea in mind of scrub, shape, color, recognize, unique, body, those things, that will be how we're going to develop the knowledge of what to look out for. From there, we're going to go to the first bug, which we'll be discussing, is the thrip. The thrip, over here there's different bugs. We're not going to focus on all of them. Today we'll focus on the thrip, which is in the center over here. On the right, there is a thrip, which is a nymph. Nymph means it's a little baby. We could identify the thrip, first of all. It has a longer body, and as it gets to the bottom, it becomes like pointy. And then at the head, it's obviously it's a little bit not as pointy. Getting that general shape in mind, obviously these are very small, but these are enlarged, and already understanding that when they're going to be younger, they're going to have almost no color. It's almost translucent, yellowish. If you look, you can start seeing the stripes developing on the baby, but it's not yet fully developed. And as it gets older, the colors change, the eyes are more noticeable, the legs, the wings, and the stripes get browner. That's more of an adult. Then there's stages in between, obviously, which it's going to be between the two. And we're going to show more pictures for that. This is just to give an idea compared to a penny. Some of these are adult thrips, some of them are a little bit smaller, but they're going to be sometimes as small as these little specks, which could look, if they were just on a white sheet, you could see it, but sometimes when it's mixed with other things, it may not be as obvious to see. But we're dealing with something very small, so it's not going to pop out or be obvious. There are different stages in the thrip, starting with the egg, which at times it could be an egg, and it's very hard to see it. And if you can't see it, and you can't notice, you can't identify it, like we mentioned, it's not an issue. And then from there are all the stages of its life, as it's a nymph, and then it gets older and older and older, and more defined, and till it's an adult. As well, here's another picture of the different stages as it gets older. With already from when it's small, little eyes are usually pretty identifiable. The body, that unique shape, the longer and gets pointy, is something that's easy to pick up on. And the color will be, that color is very common until it gets older, and obviously once it's older, it'll be even easier to identify. But that unique color, the shape, and the eyes are very common to see. The appendages at times are very clear, almost translucent, and might not be as easy to pick up. But already seeing the body shape and the eyes is a way to identify it. and I'll just go through a few just to get some ideas. Again, these were made much bigger because just to help you see it, but there's no need for someone to start using anything to enlarge it, like we mentioned in the previous class. As long as you could identify with your eye. If you can't identify with your eye, then it's fine. But again, showing these to get an idea of colors that may come in. This is an older one. You can see the stripes. It's pretty clear. Over here, the eyes can be clearly seen, and the body and the stripes. This one is more translucent, but the eyes are clearly something that will be seen, and the body shape, even though the rest of the body is almost see-through. There are different types of thrips, but they usually, most of the time, they look the same. This is two, one a little older one, a younger one. Even the younger one, you can tell the two little black dots and the general body shape of that. Another one. On the vegetable, these are, again, it's enlarged, so in real life it may not look as big as this, but it is something that's usually seen to the naked eye. This is a baby that's just developed from the egg that's starting to develop, but the eye already over there is noticeable in the general shape as well. This one is pretty much translucent, and the eyes are what gives it away. And again, not always is someone going to pick it up, but with time, as you find them and as you get used to it, you will have more of an idea of what to look for, and that will help get a clearer picture. Here's another one, which is almost translucent, but you can see the eyes, and there are different types, but all of them have the similar idea, similar body with stripes as they get older. And we'll stop here with this. I don't think there's enough time to go down to the next one, but we'll do that for next week. We'll go into the next few bugs which are commonly found. But hopefully with these pictures, you can get a clear idea of the idea, again, scrub, like we said, shape, color, recognition, unique characteristics, and body parts. And hopefully with all that, you can identify it and get a clear image.